Talk about misinformation. CBC published an article over the weekend claiming that electric cars are the best vehicle in frigid temperatures. The only source they cited were two people described as electric car enthusiasts. Here is the article here. I don't know how this got past their editors and then actually got published on the website, but here is CBC News. Electric cars, the best vehicles in frigid temperatures. Saskatchewan advocates say maybe deep freeze, but EV drivers say they stay toasty warm. How did this get past their editors? I don't know. Oh, crazy. With the federal government planning to phase out sales of new gas-powered vehicles during the next decade. And this is actually starting next year, where I believe 20% of all vehicles sold in Canada by any manufacturer have to be EVs. I think they made a concession saying that they can be plug-in hybrids. The original was they had to be EVs altogether, but even at that, many people don't want hybrids. All this is going to do is make put quotas on everything. They're going to put a quota on these sales, so therefore, within the first few months of the year, all of the gas-powered cars will be sold in Canada, and then there would be massive shortages. This is really all that does by putting these measures in place. Many drivers question how they will fare on cold prairie days like this week's. But two electric car enthusiasts who chatted with the host, Leisha Grebinski, on CBC's Blue Sky this week say they love driving their vehicles in the winter. It heats up faster than any gas car I've ever had. It's more reliable. Well, it heats up faster because when you turn it on, they use ceramic heaters. They don't typically use the heat from the engine. So a ceramic heater can flash up really quick compared to a gas car, but there are all kinds of setbacks in cold weather with these electric vehicles, and we're starting to see some of these setbacks. And here's a clip here of Global News reporting on a lot of these massive setbacks in the form of people not being able to charge their vehicles to sufficient capacity.
A lot of demand for power, and here in downtown Calgary, some evidence of that at the Tesla lot, where many people, of course, are trying to get that charge and telling us that their Teslas are only getting about half the mileage as they usually do under these extreme cold conditions.
Half way to the office take like all 140 kilometers of the duration, so I have to charge in the middle of the day in order to get back home.
And that's just one example of the kind of demand that we are seeing on the grid right now, with Albertans trying to keep their increasingly powered lives charged. Alberta's electric system operator says the province set a record for usage yesterday, and that supply is increasingly becoming a challenge. The good news is that the sun is shining, which will help with solar, but a capacity for wind generation in the province, which is about 4,500 megawatts, Friday morning was sitting at only about 30 to 40 megawatts. So that coal just at a standstill across much of Alberta. And add to that two large natural gas generators in the province are currently offline.
Offline, thanks. Oilfield Trash on Twitter saying, has to charge it at night and once in the middle of the day. Facepalm. Throw in 100 liters into an old truck and roll around for a week or two. Anyone from Canada should know by now exactly what these temperatures do to any battery. We know this. We absolutely know this, and we've been warning about it. But for all those people that didn't heed the warning, they're starting to see what's going on now. Extreme cold warning, says Calgary Herald. Record power use triggers grid alert. Spike in EMS calls for cold-related emergencies. Well, many people warning out there saying don't overpower the grid in these types of conditions. You don't want to pop the main breaker out in your neighborhood, because then that might take hours before it gets reset, and then people, injuries ensue because of this. This is really a thing. And don't be out there in an electric vehicle going a long distance without paying attention to what's on your navigation. You may have to cut those trips a lot shorter, or just forego them if you're using an electric car. You don't want to get stranded out there. It really is ridiculous. Mother Nature isn't ready to release her icy grip on the province, leading to record-breaking power consumption, increased EMS. You notice they're not saying record-breaking temperatures. We'll get into that. Increased EMS calls for cold-related emergencies. Dozens of canceled and delayed flights and disruptions on Calgary transit, according to Environment and Climate Change Canada meteorologist Justin Shelley. This Arctic upheaval will persist for a few more days. We have a cold Arctic mass air that has centered itself over the province, Shelley said. Air temperatures are in the minus 40s and wind chill values the minus 50s, and that is expected to continue through the weekend through the province. Wow. I'm definitely looking forward to coming to see Tucker Carlson and meeting a bunch of fellow Canadians that have been fighting the same fight. But I'm not looking forward to these temperatures. I'm going out there next week. So, oh boy, I am not looking forward to that. But I don't know. Are these record temperatures? They seem awfully low temperatures for the global boiling that we're currently experiencing here in Canada. But they are actually putting out emergency alerts. This is Nana O on Twitter, giving a screen cap of the emergency alert that was sent out. It was also sent out by Danielle Smith. She put this one out there on Twitter just a few days ago, basically telling people, be careful, turn off unnecessary lights, electrical appliances. This is really a serious issue. And guess what's right on there? Delay charging electric vehicles and or plugging in block heaters. Block heaters, obviously, they do not take nearly as much juice as an electric car does to charge up. But as you heard earlier, people having to charge it up during the day after taking it to work, and they have to charge it all day and midday just so they can get home. Now, I'm already up north putting this clip up. This is a clip from a while ago. I've run this clip before, or segments of it, because it makes so much sense. But saying, wow, did this ever age well? This clip of Danielle Smith just breaking it to you straight, just being frank about the whole situation with power.
To say that's impossible, that's a pretty strong word to use about our own ability in Alberta to make things happen.
You know, look, I mean, we would have to build 4 hydroelectric dams the size of Churchill Falls by 2035 to be net zero. So does anyone think it would be possible to get all of the siting decisions, the regulatory, the First Nations, the different levels of landowner consultation, the environmental issues? Does anyone think that would be possible to get that built in 12 years, starting now? I mean, you go ahead and talk to Jonathan Wilkinson then, because I can tell you Site C began in 1954. Site C began in 1954. Fine. Do you think I can get an equivalent amount of nuclear rolled out in 12 years? Do you think I could do that in an environment that we've never had nuclear before?
I don't want to interrupt the two of you.
Do you what do you know?
And I get.
What do you know that my industry experts don't know about? Yeah. Well, you know, and what do I do when there's no sun and there's no wind? Batteries. Let's talk about batteries, Danielle, because I've talked to somebody. I want.
This is great because the host is trying to move on, but it's actually, this is hard-hitting truth, and people need to hear this.
I want to talk about batteries for a minute, because I know that everybody thinks that this economy is going to be operated on wind and solar and battery power, and it cannot. There is no industrialized economy in the world operating that way, because they need base load. And I'll tell you what I know about batteries, because I talked to somebody who was thinking of investing in it on a 200 megawatt plant. $1 million to be able to get each megawatt stored. That's $200 million for his plant alone, and he would get 1 hour of storage.
1 hour.
So if you want me to have 12,000 megawatts of storage, that's $12 billion for 1 hour of storage, $24 billion for 2 hours of storage, $36 billion for 3 hours of storage, and there are long stretches in winter where we can go weeks without wind or solar. That is the reason why we need legitimate, real solutions that rely on base baseload power rather than fantasy thinking. And I am not going to engage in fantasy thinking and say something is possible when I know that my principal job,
I think we need to stop.
my principal job is to have a reliable energy grid. That's what I'm trying to do.
Absolutely, and the guy's trying to move on from the subject, but it's really the truth. We need to look at this practically. Are we actually going to move into an industry? It's not that people are trying to somehow stay away from using these renewable energies. It's just that they're not reliable. If we don't have a reliable source of energy, then people will freeze to death in the wintertime. This is the reality of living in Canada, and we have to get grip with reality. But this is what other companies are looking at. I mean, we even have this from Hertz, the rental company, is dumping 20,000 EVs. They say repairs are too expensive. They warn potential EV buyers of such maintenance costs. Now, here's an article from CBC talking about it. Car rental giant Hertz dumps EVs in the US in favor of gasoline engines. Hey, guess what? They just didn't work out. It absolutely just didn't work out to have these things in the market in Canada. This also has resulted in car makers such as General Motors or Ford to scale back on production plans of those vehicles. Now, how is that going to work out for the Canadian car industry when they're scaling back the production of those models and those vehicles, and they're putting quotas on our car industry here at home in Canada? Anyway, I'll leave you with that. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about this whole thing. People trying to sell the electric car dream on people. I've been saying, hybrids that work with an internal combustion engine, gasoline or diesel or what have you, may work in the future with these efficient electric motors, but that is not something you're going to rely on if it's only batteries that are going to be powering these things, because cold weather and batteries equals no-go. That's where we're at. Anyway, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.